Hey everybody, this is Dan,
And this is Ron.
and this is a nominee questionable movies. Today we got a special guest, kind of expanding. We're going to take over all of the media, and today we have a cartoonist on. This is a first. Ron and I have done a few episodes covering the stuff about the history of comic books, but this is the first time we managed to track down a live cartoonist in the wild, and not just any cartoonist. Sara Lautman. You may have seen her work in The New Yorker, The Comics Journal, the internet, in many, many places.
My favorite publication, the internet.
The internet, yeah. It's, someday I'm going to finish reading all of it, but I got to your cartoons first.
There's a site that's just the end of the internet. You've reached the end. That's it.
Really?
Yeah, nowhere else to go. It's done.
So what, somebody just got like a GeoCities site and wrote the end of the internet? I feel like my dad showed me that. But not to like slam your reference.
No. That's about right. Yeah.
Okay, cool. That's good. That's a good idea to do.
So Dan introduced you. Would you like to introduce yourself?
Sure. Well, no, I actually liked Dan's intro. I'm just gonna let that stand.
All right.
But I can introduce Dan because I know him from previously in life.
Oh yeah. Introduce.
Yeah, do it.
Okay.
No, nobody ever introduced me on the show before.
Today we have a very special host on. Dan,
a very special host. Oh, I want to do it.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry. I call you thunder.
And it's Dan Levine, and he was my friend and ex-girlfriend Laura's housemate in Sunset Park, Brooklyn, from 2009.
Sounds right.
To 2011 or something like that.
Something like it would have been end of 2000, maybe like into the beginning of 2012, because I did the Occupy Wall Street thing, and then I ran out of money, and then I skipped town and never came back.
Such a slice of an era, snapshot of an era, and that was fun. And those guys were good housemates. It was like an okay apartment. It wasn't that great.
Yeah, it was like, it was more than I probably should have been spending at the time. But on the other hand, if I spent any less than that, I would have been living in like a cardboard box, because like New York City rents at that point were insane.
This was such a fluke, but at one point I had a tiny, tiny, tiny room in Crown Heights that cost $450. And it was like, it was like 2015. Like it was fairly recently. But it wasn't, for the time and the price, it was actually a pretty nice room, but it was not a nice room, like objectively.
Great. Now that I'm living in the middle of nowhere, I'm getting a whole house for $500 a month.
That rules. I love living in Baltimore. You get like a totally humane space for a totally appropriate amount of money.
And it's a 2-bedroom house if somebody doesn't mind the other people walking through their bedroom to get to the laundry.
Well, there's it's got like an open layout in the front, and then technically there's 2 bedrooms. One of the bedrooms is just like entirely shelving in this like 20-inch CRT that I grabbed off the street to play like virtual pinball on. Basically, that's like all I do with it now.
Is a CRT a screen?
CRT, those old TVs that weighed like an arm, that weighed like a ton of.
Oh, a big one with the big.
Yeah, the one with the butts.
Yeah, cool. Ugh, I love how things look on the curved screen.
Yeah, it looks pretty nice. It's good for old crap that doesn't like newer TVs, which I.
Totally. I've picked up several TVs in the street to bring them, because I really like, my dream is to have a little CRT, as you say, in the kitchen, like just like a small. Because like, did you guys have?
If you ever come up to upstate New York, I can give you one. I got like 8 or 9 of them lying around right now. I'm trying to get rid of.
That's good. The place where this would end was where I just would begin to collect the cables. I know like what I need to hook up my like computer or whatever to like play whatever I want on the kitchen TV, but I've never made it my project enough to actually
I
realize it.
probably also have I have like 6 boxes worth of cables out in the garage. So
I'm telling you, we have the cables. Like, it's just a matter of me doing it. Now that I'm talking about it, I'm like, I should just do it. But anyway, I'm just like into the idea of having a TV in the kitchen, because it's like, you know how sometimes you go over to someone's house for a play date when you're a kid, and like their family has a TV in the kitchen, and it just feels like very decadent.
Yeah. It's like nice if you're cooking, because you get like, now I turn on I was gonna say podcast, but I think I would, like, for the last week or two, the only thing I've cooked to is just like Illmatic on repeat.
Oh, cool. That sounds fun.
Yeah, like gets me like hyped enough to feed myself.
Well, good. I appreciate that for you.
Yeah, if Nas, if you're listening, I probably gained like 5 pounds in the last month.
Nas, don't answer that. I've been listening to. I read I'm just like rereading The Shining and like listening to it, and also reading it when I'm not in a listening like spot. I guess I read it in high school because I remember reading it, but I don't remember like all the stuff that I'm reading now. It's so there's just so much stuff that feels like really cool and interesting that I don't know. I'm like having fun. I'm into The Shining.
Oh, that's cool. Like, any particular standout like stuff that got lost to time and then was
Oh yeah, just like stuff that you wouldn't think about when you're 16, like child psychology, but it feels really important now. Like the kid Danny, like his interiority is just like really complex, and in a way, it's like he's like so precocious inside of his thoughts that you're like, what the fuck? But it's also fine. But like he has this precognition, like he has The Shining, he can read thoughts, and so he feels protective toward his parents because he knows more about their lives than they know that he knows, and like they're in like emotional peril, like in normal ways, but also in supernatural ways.
Yeah.
So he wants to protect them because he loves them, and then he feels burdened by wanting to protect them. And then on top of that, he feels guilty for feeling burdened for wanting to protect them. And like all of this is just like expressed, I mean, like pretty unnaturally for a 5-year-old, I guess, but like somehow it's like fine for him to be so smart because like he just is really smart and has The Shining.
Sometimes you need like that heightened language to get at like some of the depths of it. I feel like if you ever read any of those like G.K. Chesterton novels, everybody just talks like G.K. Chesterton, but if they didn't, you'd be missing a lot.
Totally. I know. I feel like that's a hard like writing problem to solve. Like you have to make sure that everyone in your book doesn't just talk and think like you. You need them to like deliver concepts.
Right.
I guess that's just, you have to write. Like you have to be creative and think of different voices and think of different characters.
Right. And I think ultimately it ends up looking kind of like yourself anyway. Like I haven't written a lot of fiction, but I've written 2 books since I left Brooklyn, and I mean, hell, I made a movie a few years ago that was literally supposed to be other people talking about themselves, and then now when I look at it, it's just like, wow, I'm just like using these people like ventriloquist dummies to talk about my own shit.
Yeah.
It's like really, it's hard to escape yourself because you kind of like you live with yourself most of the time, right?
Yeah, I know. It's impossible. I'm trying to think of like a book that's really good at doing that. I don't know. I mean, I guess anything that has maybe, I don't know, maybe we don't pay enough attention to that, like having characters that are really like distinct in like a really naturalistic way. Like I feel like I never had even the idea to pay attention to that until recently. Because real life is like incredibly uneven. Like some people are talking about like just making jokes all the time, and then some just like making up people who are as different as people are in real life is really hard.
The tough part about being a writer is knowing how to write.
That's very Aristotelian of you, Ron. You ever read the Nicomachean Ethics where he's just like the way I don't think this is literally a line, but like the way my friend Paul pitched reading it to me was just like it's a lot of Gertrude Stein sentences like the way to quit drinking is to stop drinking for like
It's like, shut up, Aristotle.
It's
Shut up,
basically
Gertrude Stein.
well, you know, like Making of Americans is just like those, like, here's a sentence and here's every possible slight variation of that sentence in repetition.
Totally.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's kind of what Aristotle reads like to me, but
not good advice.
Quick brown fox jumps over the lazy dog. The quick brown fox jumps over the lazy dog.
Did Aristotle say that?
No, I'm just saying.
no, I don't think so.
My version's shorter than Aristotle's.
Cool.
So, tell us about your work. Let's start with the present.
Man, it is really cool to be asked that question because I feel like I every time I have to answer it, I like end up figuring something out like while I'm talking. Well, I'm teaching right now a comics class at Micah, and you know it's remote because everything's remote. And I'm working on the first graphic novel I've ever made. And both of these things are happening at the same time, which, I mean, I know that like most writers who teach, I don't know, I've heard people say they're like, oh, it's impossible to write and teach at the same time. I mean, granted, like I'm an adjunct, I'm teaching one class. I do have time to work on my own work, like creative work. And I feel like it's a nice cocktail of work if you can like set it up, because talking to my students about their work and about the stuff we're reading is really helpful. Like it helps me just like let some air in and to come up with new ideas. You know, it's like you're trying to tell somebody how to like fix a bike or something, and like while you're talking about it, you learn something or you reinforce something that maybe you kind of knew. And also just the work that I do on the book at the same time is a really instructive experience because I've never done it before and I don't really have a process for it. So I feel like there's just like a lot of learning curve going on. And these two things happening at the same time seem to be nicely complementary.
Yeah, I guess like what have you found so far that, because for listeners who aren't aware, a lot of Sarah's, I think most of your earlier work is like single panel cartoons or like a few single panel cartoons next to each other, give or take.
I mean, it's kind of all over the place. Like, yes, a lot of single panel cartoons. I mean, mostly because of like cranking out a lot of those, like to pitch the New Yorker, but also because that I like that form. But then, you know, I've done a lot of comic strips and like a lot of like single pages and like some short stories, and then just some like illustrated text that's like sort of set up in like a book designy way. And I mean, really just like there's like no continuity. I mean, there's a little continuity, but
none of it's been a full length graphic novel so far. So like what differences have you found in the process so far?
Just figuring out like what the point, like I think like the doing short work is really, it's not, I mean, it is a lot easier because I mean, I think the reason I felt like that it sort of begat itself, like I started doing short work and was able to continue doing short work and sort of make a body of work doing that, is because it's very gratifying. And you don't have to spend a lot of time like questioning its existence, which was always a problem I had. Like definitely before I started making drawing a regular thing in my life, like I can't commit to whatever, you know, creative project because like who cares? And but you know, if you just make something short, like a drawing with a caption or just a drawing, you're just not hanging out with it long enough to be able to question it. But with a longer story and of course like a novel length comic story. You're hanging out with for a really long time. And to even get from point A to point B, you have to question why, like, why are these things happening? Like, who cares? Like, what is the subtext of these characters? So I mean, it's cool. It's really hard. Like, it's something that I don't know, definitely intimidated by, but also just the why, like the question of why to make something, like, never really ended in an answer. So having like a reason, like, oh, like, this is cool to make because then I can think about this like other thing, or this is cool to make because then I can like find out what's going on with this character. Like, yeah, just like the whole process sort of needs to be self-nourishing, I think. And it feels very different.
Yeah, from the outside, I was never able, like I drew a lot of comics when I was younger, and I've gotten back into drawing some stuff recently. And I feel like all the stuff I'm doing now, it's like late William Steig. Like, I just started scribbling something and then put like the most uncomfortable caption under it I can do. I can't imagine trying to do like a whole. It seems like throwing it like all the pictures are like people at a dinner party, and you got to invite like 300 people to a dinner party and make sure they all get along.
Yeah. Well, you get to like have a lot of control over them. And the people at your dinner party are going to do whatever they want.
True. Yeah, maybe I just don't have much control over my drawings, so I'm just sort of seeing them as this external force.
Yeah. No, I mean, I think that can be
like I always kind of think of them as like self-generated Rorschach blots.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. No, I know and appreciate that feeling, and I think like that's part of the fun, especially if you're not trying to control like a dinner party room full of like, you know, panels that you need to tell a story. It's just like, it's really cool. And it also feels like it takes the pressure off because there's a chaos element. But yeah, I mean, yeah, that's another reason why this kind of writing feels so much different, because like, I don't want to just like let the chips fall where they may. Like, all right, cool. Like, this drawing's going to be weird. Oh, well, like, neat. Although I still like that feeling, but for this, I just need to like engineer it with maybe like more intentionality than I have before.
And so what prompted you to make the leap?
I just kind of had this story that I kept working on. A friend of mine was looking, it was actually, well, I pitched it initially as like a 4-panel comic for this app. It was going to be like sort of like advertorial content, like for like an Instagram account. And the Instagram account was like a dating app. So they wanted people, they were like send us like sexy, like hookup stories. And so I was writing about these 2 fictional characters, and it was sort of like an erotic role-playing situation. So I sent the company like this short comic, and they were like, well, the comic used the F word in it, like the word faggot. And so they were like, this is homophobic. And I was like, you are homophobic for not like publishing my like self-loathing, like weird age play, like sex comic. And so I ended up not working with them. And then my friend, Carta Munir, who has a press called Diskette, was starting like a new imprint of Diskette called Hard Disk. So she wanted people to send her porn. So this story I sent it to her as that. And then she was like, oh, this is cool. Like, can it be longer? And I was like, yeah, sure. And then it just like kept being longer and longer. And now it's like,
that sounds very like long. Way for, I don't know. I feel like, can it be longer with the porn thing? There's a joke here that's not coming together fully in my brain.
Well, it's kind of the joke of the book, because it's sort of anti-porn. I mean, I feel like it didn't start off in this like highly conceived way, but the idea is the premise is that there are 2 partners trying to make an erotic role play, and they're each playing a role. and they disagree on how it should play. And so their disagreement forces them to do it like a million different times, which of course isn't like.
Sounds very sexy.
Yeah. And then, even the tension of like overthinking it is sort of part of like what's moving around in the story. But I mean, essentially, like they're alters that they're pretending to be. Like they think they like create these elaborate subtexts for these other people in order to make the story more plausible. And also because it takes place like in between these characters at a time in history where like historical context has to be involved. Like if this character is 38 in 1998, he would have had like some connection like with AIDS. Like where was he at such, like when he was 20, like where was he when he was 15? So anyway, it's like these two characters are writing these other characters, and the goal is they have different goals in how they're writing these people. But anyway, so there's these two characters in the past and these two characters in the present, and like basically this couple like trying to do this thing. But it's like the whole thing is that like, and there is sex in it because like there's just like a lot of people like going around and living their lives, but it's like not porn. Like it is not porn, or it could be. I don't know. I mean, fine. It is porn, but it's also not really the kind of normal porn that people think of when they want to go get some porn.
We could have a listener poll to figure it out.
Well, I can't send every listener the book yet, so maybe next year we could follow up on circle back. That would be a good like promotion.
Is this
is this porn?
Right, because like the Supreme Court definition, right, is like I know it when I see it, right? So
yeah. But you know what? Like things being porn or not, like if you want to like publish, or I think even like send porn through the mail, like definitely for publishing it, you'd have to just pay a lot of extra money, for your license or whatever. So for my friend who's running this queer porn imprint, it's like she's like, please make porn because I already spent the porn money.
Although it sounds like it's not particularly erotic, so I guess that's what
I would say. I don't know. I mean, it's
porn that's not particularly erotic.
I think for like super heady, like queer overthinkers who just understand that, like who are like down to overthink sex, it is totally erotic. But in a more conventional, like let's get to the sexy part sense, it's not that. I don't know. I think it really is just kind of in the middle. Like it's not conceptually like anti-porn at all. It's just like very thinky. Okay. It's just a very thinky, talky piece like about like relationships and about gay stuff.
I'm definitely excited to read it. You have any idea when it's coming out potentially, or
it keeps moving back? I guess. Let's see, what are we saying now? So it's April. I'm thinking it would be cool. It seems realistic to say September, but this is micro publishing, and I'm just saying that based on how fast I think I can finish it.
How far along are you?
Let's see. Well, it's probably going to be like 120 pages, and I'm at page 100. And
okay.
I'm like writing and drawing pages as I go. So I'll finish a draft and then I'll do a finish. I'll like ink the draft and make a lot of revisions and, move things around. And that's how much done I am. I don't know. I feel like maybe halfway, but there are all these stages that are sort of moving parts. Also, it's not like with like, a money-oriented publishing company where they're like, you got 10 days or whatever, you got 10 weeks. Like it really is just like art people working together to make something cool. So the deadlines that we set are for me. Like I need a deadline to get whatever done in such an amount of time. So there's a very long answer for you.
Yeah, no, that's we run long on this show.
Yeah. Oh God, I loved Goof. Yeah, I watched a lot of Goof Troop, but I've never seen a Goofy movie. Any of the Goofy movies.
I think I saw it when I was very, very young, and I just remember it as like there was a physical VHS tape of that and like an episode of the GoBots.
Whoa, what? Oh, you mean
And
GoBots
like
was
when I was
also
growing
on
up in the
tape?
house.
Okay.
Yeah, no, they never. No, Disney didn't want to have anything to do with the GoBots because nobody wants to have anything to do with the GoBots except me when I'm 4 years old.
Are GoBots like post Transformers?
So they were technically pre-Transformers, but everybody remembers them as Transformers knockoffs. I mean, like pre or post is sort of confusing with that stuff because they're both just ways to market the same line of Japanese toys abroad. So like the robots existed before the story
The
stuff
GoBots.
existed,
Mm-hmm.
and then Transformers, I think that got handed over to Marvel to do like the story stuff, and then they did the same thing with GI Joe. And I've been watching this guy's like channel where he just talks about the history of toys a lot because I
Great. Awesome.
figure I can make a killing at the flea market. But
Mm-hmm.
yeah, then GoBots, it was Hanna-Barbera.
And Transformers was not Hanna-Barbera.
No, Transformers was, I believe, Saban Entertainment, which was like
Right, yeah, Saban.
with Marvel up through like from the 80s to the 90s.
Huh. Was Saban like did they just deal with like Japanese imports, or did you say they were part of Marvel, or they just had like a relationship with
They were
Marvel?
very close. I don't know if they were part of Marvel or not. They weren't the ones who just dealt with shit. The ones where they would just take like three Japanese shows and then combine them into one thing. Like there's no Japanese Robotech. It's like three different shows that they just like
Yeah.
forced together.
Huh.
And I think that was something like Star Rising, not Rising Star.
Mm.
Maybe that was Sunbow.
Ugh, I don't know. I really like I didn't get into like any like anime or even manga until like basically now in my life. I mean, not that like a ton of cartoons that were on TV in the 80s and 90s weren't just like Japanese ripoffs or imports, and video games, of course.
Right.
But I did. This is sort of on this topic. I bought us like a used old like Subaru Forester this year, and I like it a lot. And I just was doing so much research on Subaru, and one of like the million interesting things I found out about Subaru is that at one point, like not even that long ago, it was like in the 2000s, they Subaru the company underwrote a like the production of a cartoon, and it was they were working with the studio that made what's it called, Neon Jelly and Event.
Madhouse.
Yeah.
Yeah, Madhouse. Yeah, the people who did Neon Genesis, Avon.
Yes,
Yeah.
Thank God. Oh man, I'm so don't know anything about this stuff. But anyway, so they made this cartoon about like a little space girl whose name is Subaru.
No, Gainax, not Madhouse.
Yeah, Gainax. That's right. So Gainax makes this like short series called Subaru, and the lead girl, or like I don't know, they're just like space kids. Like some of them are girls, some of them are guys. There's like not that what's it called? Sailor Moon was I feel like they weren't doing anything intentional with gender, but I don't know. Everything I know about anime at this point is just filtered through like such a queer world lens because those are the people in my life who are fans of that. But anyway, so they make this cartoon about this hero called Subaru, and it's like pretty okay. It's like a little boring. You can watch it on YouTube.
Like when they get angry, they get 4-wheel drive.
No, it's like unrelated. Like they just have like some other like adventure stuff to do in space. There's no cars in it.
Oh, weird. So like you don't Like I'm just imagining like an all-wheel drive Subaru just like driving off the road and then eventually into space, and it still has traction outside of gravity.
No, but that would be a cool commercial.
Subaru, if you're listening, I need money.
Subaru. Keep doing what you're doing.
Yeah.
As long as you're listening to this podcast. What's up?
One of these people will be listening. I'm saving up to buy a Canyon Arrow.
Oh, okay.
No, I don't think they actually sell those.
Man, I think like at least once a week I make a Simpsons reference, and it's just for myself.
I think that's something we bonded over 10 years ago.
Yeah.
Like definitely I speak in, yeah, there's just a lot of needless Simpsons references that just get, and then I always just like chuckle like I made a dad joke, and I'm just like,
Nobody knows what you're talking about.
Satisfied. I know what the Simpsons are, and
sometimes somebody does. It is a very popular show.
It is, yeah.
But I don't know, just the other day, I did the thing where I said the reference and it's, it always sounds a little weird. Sometimes you can keep rolling through the conversation, but sometimes it just sounds weird. So I did explain it. And it was cool. And there was someone there who was like, hell yeah. Like, I remember that episode.
Yeah, I like pride. I take pride in the naturalism of my inserted Simpsons references. Whether
really?
Pride or not, yeah.
Like you won't footnote them for people?
Well, I'm like a Simpsons reference realist, I'm like trying to make it seem like it's natural conversation, but I'm really just like sliding the Simpsons into things gratuitously.
Do you remember the last one you did?
Canyon Arrow.
Yeah, like a few minutes ago. But you really that wasn't a slide right by. That was you were handing that.
There was a wink. There was a wink there, yeah. I'm trying to think. I was talking to I've been talking to this woman on the internet. She's a bit younger than I am, and it only really sunk into her that it only sunk in for her how old I am when I was like, yes, I am the same age as the Simpsons, but that's not really a realism thing. That's just I am the same age as the Simpsons.
Yeah.
But that
it's just
now.
Let's go to the television museum.
Yeah, that's like I am the television museum now, I guess.
I am the television museum.
I got piles of VHS tapes in the other room. I got 15 televisions sitting around in a 2-bedroom house.
That rules. I love that.
The television museum, they renamed it to the Paley Center, I guess, because they didn't want to step on my toes.
Well, you just want to live a normal life. You don't want to be mobbed by fans in the street. You're a private person. Yeah, the last one I dropped was do you come with the car?
Was there a context, or would the context make it any better?
Oh man, I'm trying to think. I don't know. Probably we're talking about cars, or maybe just doing the little laugh, ha ha ha. Yeah, that's it. And I ended up being look, I'm sorry, I just said a Simpsons reference. We can talk about it or not. And my friend was right there for it, and it went well.
Mm.
So you provide you attribute it. You provide a reference, a citation, Simpsons.
If it feels natural, I won't push it.
Mm.
It's nice if there's someone there to catch it. That's obviously the best situation. But that's sometimes that doesn't happen, and you just gotta make sure you're not ruining anybody's day.
Have you ever ruined somebody's day with the Simpsons reference? I feel like I've ruined people's days before, but it's never been the fault of the Simpsons, or at least partially the fault of the Simpsons for me.
Oh no. I mean, the Simpsons probably has ruined people's days, people who work at the Simpsons, if they lose their job or they just hate their job or something.
Right.
I checked in on South Park recently. I haven't really taken a look in a very, very long time. But I used to watch, when it first came out in when that first like the spirit of Christmas dropped like on like dial-up internet. It was really funny, and I was loving it so much. And then it was always, I don't know, I was just like always pretty game for South Park. But anyway, yeah, they had I tried to watch as much as I could of the pandemic special.
Yeah.
It was like, I don't know, I couldn't finish watching it. I was like, oh, South Park.
Yeah, I think I was watching it pretty like regularly until like season 12 or so, but that was probably like at least 10 years ago now.
Mm.
And then I haven't checked in on it in years. The only one of them that like stayed good for that long is American Dad, which I think
Ew, really? God.
still
Is you
good.
an American Dad fan?
Yes. Yeah, because like McFarlane kind of gets booted in the 5th season, and then it's just like all these randos that were working on Adult Swim shows,
Huh.
and it's just like purely like what is the most fucked up shit we can show on television on TBS.
Oh, God. I hate that shit.
I don't know. Like it and it's not like Brickleberry or something where it's just like lazy. It's like actually they do think through the scripts.
Huh. I mean, I feel like it was just like a job maker for people who are working in like animation and comedy writing. Like that's fine, but like, ew, like just fucking boot it and get a new show. Like, because it still looks like a stupid Seth MacFarlane show, and like it looks so bad. I just like hate to see that stuff.
Mm-hmm. I mean, that's the only one of them that I like. Cleveland Show was always terrible.
Ugh.
Family Guy was pretty much like there's a few early episodes that I liked, but everything since it came back like 20 years ago,
No.
I just don't really care about. But then American Dad just like weirdly got good at one point, and then it's just been like silent in the background for
crazy. I mean, I guess like they're just, like everyone's a mercenary, like doing their animation thing, doing their writing thing. Like there's tons of cool people that could show up and like work at those shows.
Yeah, it's a grab bag, I guess. Yeah. So besides the graphic novel and the teaching gig, is there any other stuff you got coming down the pipeline?
Pipeline.
That's a lot, I'm not like saying like, yeah, it's chopped.
No, not at all. I'm not insulted at all. I don't know. I'm just like kind of always, I'm usually making something short and then working on the long thing, which is the book. And then like module number 3 is teaching. So like, I don't know, that's like kind of the dance. I'm going to make, I think, a big, like kind of a large scale collection of single panel cartoons that I've never been able to, like ones that I've never been able to sell to a publication, and just like illustrate them as nicely as I can, and paint them and make them look good. And then and probably self-publish unless somebody else wants to do it for me. But I don't know. I also just want to be able to do it however I want. So probably a self-publishing situation. And that's the only other. I mean, there are actually a couple other book projects that I'm thinking about. I've been working on this book like for years on and off with Jason Novak, the cartoonist. He's amazing. Like he's really just like amazing at drawing, and he just knows a lot. He's really into history. He just published this book that's illustrations of stories that were told by Joe Frank. This what's it called, radio play guy. And I don't know, he has like the ways he connects his cartooning work to culture are really cool. But anyway, we've been working on this book together that's his writing and my drawing, and it's like short stories and fables, so like every few months we sort of check in on that. So yeah, I guess that's also technically still in play, even though it's a sort of a low simmering thing. Yeah, that's just like doing this kind of weird freelance life. It's like you just have all these zones, and some things are like priority number 1, and some things are happening, and some things are dormant, and then some things you need to quickly activate again. So,
and you're doing the cartooning like completely full time now, right?
I mean, teaching and cartooning, and then
You're
whatever.
like teaching cartooning though.
Yeah, and then whatever illustration work pops up.
It's cool.
Is this the first time you've been collaborating on
Oh,
work?
no, not at all. Collaborating rules. I illustrated a book, like a text novel, an adult novel, that came out last October, by Emily Danforth, who's she's a novelist. I wanted to call her a horror writer because this is a horror book, but her first book was a YA novel, and then this is her second book, and it's a horror adult novel. And that was a very, very long collaboration. We worked on it for years, and now it's published, and people can get it. It's called Playing Bad Heroines. So yeah, collaboration is great. I like to, I don't know, I feel like that's a very illustrator thing. Like if you like to react to other people or other ideas.
Yeah. And I remember when we knew each other in Brooklyn, like that was a lot of, at least what I saw you doing was like
Tumblr days
kind of stuff. Yeah,
for sure. That's always been the vibe.
Well, we've already got the soundbite. Collaborating rules. I've got that right there. Anything I get up. No, I just love the way you said that. So.
Yeah, get into it, y'all.
Y'all, collaborating rules.
Yeah.
I thought the soundbite was like, has a Simpsons reference you made ever ruined someone's day? But that's
where will the sound bite go? Like on the front of the DVD?
Well, we haven't put anything out on physical media yet. I was thinking about because we're approaching the 100th episode very soon.
Whoa.
And I was thinking about maybe, because I finally got my tape deck working again, just put an hour of the best stuff on a cassette, make 15 copies, and then have a raffle that'll probably have 15 entries, and then just mail it.
Man, I love cassettes. I always want to make things on cassette. But I feel like, nerds will listen to it, but you also want to have a download code or something.
Yeah, if you have the cassette with the download code, then it's not as cheap to produce as a CD, but it feels more substantial in your hand for whatever reason.
Right.
And then
you really want to go hard on
there's
an object, let's make it an objecty object.
Right.
Because you can have you can have whatever you want from the cloud.
Yeah, I was thinking maybe we could release it on Laserdisc or something.
Just as unwieldy as
sitting
possible.
next to my Laserdisc player right here, and I don't know how you would even produce one. I don't think there were ever commercial Laserdisc burners. Well,
I gotta get going pretty soon. Should we record anything that we need?
Well, do you have any last things you want to say?
No.
All right.
Get a soundbite.
I could say
I refuse.
Well, no, no. What am I refusing?
Do you have any final words? I refuse.
I think you just gave the best answer to that question.
I was trying to think of sound bites I could give you guys for the if you had a radio station and it was hey, this is Bono and you're listening to all right, this is
You're listening to WSPN 91.1 FM, Saratoga Springs, New York, Skidmore College Radio. You can call us at 518-580-583-926, something extension. Now, back to the hits.
So you're just going to have that's not a podcast voice. Now you just have a show.
Well, that was I did that every week for 10 years.
Wow.
Multiple times a day. So I can rattle. I forgot the phone number, but everything else is, or what was it? You're listening to the I Don't Know Show on WSPN 91.1 FM, Saratoga Springs, New York, Skidmore College Radio. If you have a request, if you'd like us to talk about something, if you'd like us to make a shout out, call us at blah, 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 blah.
Wow. I feel like I'm about to change the channel on the radio.
been listening to Anomaly Questionable Movies on NPR. If you have any questions for us or would like to contribute, please email us at anomaly@npr.org.
That sounds pre-recorded. Or wait, hey, this is Nelson Mandela, and you're listening to the Anomaly Podcast on 23.5 90 QXM.
Hi, this is Frank Sinatra coming at you from Beyond the Dead. The Nominee Questionable Movies Podcast.
This is
Have it your way.
let's see.
Frank Sinatra coming at you for Burger King hamburgers. You can have it your way.
Is that how commercials worked?
I mean, if it was, I would probably be rolling in money right now.
I couldn't think of a celebrity at all when I was trying to think of one. The only person I could think of was Joe Biden.
Hi, this is Joe Biden. You're listening to Nominee Questionable Movies on the internet. You can tune in at the internet. Call us at the internet.
I don't know. I think you nailed Nelson Mandela. You nailed Bono.
We've got a few. You guys can work with those.
Yeah.
All right.
So for real this time, though, this has been a Nominee Questionable Movies. I'm still Dan.
And I'm still Ron.
And today we've had on the program Sara Lautman, who is a cartoonist in many venues. And where can people check out your stuff, Sara?
You can check out my stuff online and on my website, and occasionally at other people's websites when they hire me to make cartoons.
Cool. And where is your website?
It's at saralautman.com. And I have some books that I can tell you to buy. I have my last collection is called I Love You. And you can just find it in a comic store if you have access to that. And I have lots of other collections that range from little paper ones to ones with spines. And maybe those will be at your comic store too, depending on where you live.
So she has stuff for the people who prefer the spines or the spineless.
Yes.
So go out, check it out, and we'll see you at the movies or the comic book store.
I'll see you outside because we can't go to the movies or the store.
Right. I guess I'll see you when you break into my house.
I won't.
No. I don't know. Yeah. I just realized that I've been saying we'll see you at the movies for like the last year, and nobody's seeing anybody at the movies.
No. Well, eventually we'll see you at the movies.
Not placing any kind of time commitment around it.
We'll see you at the outdoor movies because it's almost summer.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much.
Of course. Yeah, this was really fun. Thanks for having me.
Yeah. And when the book comes out, we'll have to have you on again to promote it.
Yeah.
Yes.
I don't know how much promotional help this really is, but
whatever. I mean, I'll promote it to both of you.
All right. Yeah.
That works.
You get 2 sales.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Great. I can't wait.
All right. Yeah. And yeah, cool. All right. We'll see you later.
Take care, everyone.